You are watching the Midtable and Up podcast highlights. Please put your foot through that like button and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, as well as Spotify and the podcasts app.
Obviously, with that introduction, you know, as the resident tractor boy, that it was probably going to be an Ipswich player.
Oh, I'd expect nothing else, yeah.
It's the current town captain, Luke Chambers, legend of the club. Been there nearly 10 years now. Ingrained in the roots of that club these days. He houses youth players at his house. He basically runs the team. Loud vocal skipper, and I'd love to meet him. He's a very solid guy. And when I did meet him, so I went to an away game, Ipswich v Gillingham, and I was getting the train back to Essex at the time, had to go in through London, and he was sat on the same carriage as me, along with about 40 other Ipswich Town fans.
Wow.
So he did not have a very relaxing trip home. He just won the game 1-0. He had all the fans chanting in his face for a solid hour on the train back to London, which I can't imagine he particularly enjoyed, but yeah, so we were chanting one fucking Chambers at him. And he was such a good guy about it, like he took pictures with everybody.
That is really good.
But anyway, the reason why I'd love to meet him is because I would love to know his kind of all the behind the scenes stuff of, particularly in this era of the club, which hasn't been particularly good.
I think that's the understatement of the year, mate, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so obviously relegation, but I mean, some good moments when we made the playoffs, but then the whole issues with Mick McCarthy and then some stuff with Paul Hurst. I would love the inside track of how he as the captain feels, what really happened. I bet there's so many good stories behind the scenes of what really went down, and I think we probably only heard 20% of some of those stories, so I'd love to just get his view on what stuff like that was like.
Oh, definitely.
Most of the time you don't ever see footballers out in the wild. Like, you might see them at an event.
Yeah, not in this.
Kind of going
not in this day and age. You don't really, unless you are lower league, really. So that's one of the only few times.
I'll be honest. I don't think he'll do it again.
Yeah, he's learned.
He's learned from that lesson. He's not going on the train next time.
His club captain, Ipswich can't give him his own car. I don't know, but
well, I presume he came up on the team bus and then went somewhere else on his own. But yeah, it was so surreal because I was late getting the train. I was just like, hang on, I know you. And then, it spent the whole journey back just chanting Ipswich songs at him, which I can't imagine is particularly fun. But it was fun for me, and as I say, he took it in good spirits.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've really got to embrace that kind of thing, especially when it's positive after a good result. So, yeah, no, that is a really interesting story. And I kind of get what you mean because, one of the people on my list I have already met, but it was very brief and it's not quite the same as if you were able to sit down with them for even any kind of length of time, really. So, yeah, it's I can definitely get where you're coming from in that regard, mate, for sure. And as you said, as you alluded to, having been there 10 years, a lot has gone on at the club in that time period. As you said, the whole Mick McCarthy escapade thing. It would be really good to try and hear, his side of the story in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's people who think that he's kind of bigger than a lot of the managers we've had, and he's got so much influence behind the scenes that people really struggle to deal with him. But again, that's all speculation, and it would be good to hear kind of his views and how much influence the players had in various situations, and whether he felt could have done anything differently to try and make certain things not have happened, which it's a club we didn't want to, obviously, with the relegation and the like. So.
That's the final whistle. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Midtable and Up podcast. If you enjoy our top 10 lists, please make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Let us know what you would have done differently. If you watch this episode on YouTube, make sure to put your foot through that subscribe button and leave a like on the video, as well as follow us on Spotify, the podcast app, to keep up to date with the series. Thank you very much. See you next time.